forZe and Saw here. It's time for Dust 2. Now, T-Time, you were talking a little bit before about how forZe had a pretty nice result on this map earlier on today against a pretty good team in terms of European competition. How are you feeling that their chances of turning this series around are going to go?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't feel too great because if I look over towards that, a lot of the reason why they were actually able to win it outright was because they had ESEA power going 20-5 in that one map. Guess who isn't playing for forZe in this series? Pilsky, I'll let you take a guess over here.
Is it ESEA power?
Ding, ding, ding. You've got a winner right there, Pilsky. That's why you were a color caster.
Yes, thank you. I remember the names of the players. That is my, well, usually that's actually the play-by-play caster's job. Read the kill feed. That's pretty much what you need to do. It's really not that hard. Anyway, Scriv,
Yes.
how are you feeling about this map pick in particular? I mean, Jerry broke it down a little bit in the interview, but if I look at the map stats, statistically, not a great map for forZe, but it's right up the top of the map stats for Saw. Have you had a chance to see them play this map at all?
Yeah, I have a few times. I think this is maybe where we see Stododo come online a little bit more. Not that he was disappointing necessarily, but, you know, T-Time and I commented on very early on into that CT half, he wasn't really fancying the AWP. And then they found it kind of difficult to find the finances to get the AWP out, right? I think moving now into this map, my kind of tinfoil hat energy is the fact that fragging-wise, they didn't do so bad. Flit's actually all the way up towards the top after a 1.3 rating on that first map. So, I don't know. I think there's a chance here that forZe, if they can tap into that individual prowess again, might just be able to take us to map number 3.
Yeah, not just
I'm sorry,
that
just
individual...
imagining Scriv with the tinfoil hat on is just...
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't have one prepared already. I'm a little disappointed, actually. You know, you guys already talked on the AWPers in this matchup. Obviously, quite important on Dust 2, so you kind of stole my talking point there. I think seeing both of these teams playing sort of a looser style on Nuke should favor them on Dust 2, but there's only one way to find out. We're going to get into the second map of this series. Saw currently winning 1-0 in this series. If they can close out Dust 2, they're going to take it away. Your casters for this series are going to be T-Time and Scriv. Off you go, boys.
Thank you, Pilsky. And now we've got ourselves the big question. We had some dough being needed. We had some one-sided punching bags going on. But the question is, are both teams coming over here, fists balled up and sleeves rolled up? Scriv, we're going to have to sit through and see how exactly it goes. And maybe you can take off your tinfoil hat now.
Yeah, perhaps. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe the pistol going to give us a bit of a taste, and that first headshot landed at long range onto Flit. Mutiris with a nasty bit of damage. Sortie. Nice little position here, but caught in transition. That is very unfortunate timing. Short going to be given up. There's not really an awful lot gained for it either. No real information. You know they're in and around middle. No damage. That is a perfect frag for Saw, to be honest. And they now have pressure again from Short, catching Almeza in transition once again. Oh my goodness, they have just squeezed this CT defense into a corner and then into a pulp. They have absolutely demolished them. The one throwaway frag at the end, but that is probably the best pistol round you could hope for.
And they maintain that 3 out of 3 of the pistol rounds that they've played so far, they haven't just won on Saw, they have dominated. Yes. So that's not a team that you can necessarily just dismiss and say, oh, pistols are 50-50. No, there's definitely something going on here with these players. But now, can Stododo get something going on with that scout? Misses his shot initially, but information is key. And information is what Jerry has found. Jerry was the other player earlier on today who was able to get to that 20 kill mark up against FBX, and now question is, can he do that again? It was a 16-2 before. If you start to win out this force spy, well, maybe not a 16-2, but you're setting up yourself very nicely.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I think we've touched on a little bit, by the way. I really do think it is worth noting coming into this second map after a 29-round epic that forZe have been playing a lot of Counter-Strike today. Fatigue is going to set in for sure. So certainly something to consider. Nice early pickup coming in from Mutiris here onto Almeza. Just going to ease some of that pressure. Lovely stuff. Still do need to be careful. Scouts and Deegs in play when you're going for the aptly named long area of the map. Certainly can be kind of dangerous, but go for it they will, taking it nice and slow, trying to force an error from forZe here, some kind of a wide swing, some kind of a Hail Mary through the smoke. Nothing coming as yet. They're going to go for the cross, and oh my goodness, so many flashes all over the shop on both sides of the equation. Flit feel like he could have got more there. There's a double kill from Just, one in from Rome. Jumping Scout is attempted. I think one of the shots landed, but no frag for Zorti. Oh man, once again, another opportunity early this time rather than late on where perhaps an individual has somewhat fluffed it. The Deagle of Almeza, like I say, could have found more.
And that comes despite the fact that Saw's walking onto a stack of forZe with 4 players on the stack itself. That's the best possible scenario you can hope for in Deagles. And, well, you know what isn't the best possible scenario? When your player starts to get stuck on the head of another one, and your short boost ends up being pretty damn long. Almazer's gone down in the meanwhile, so, you know, that little tricky little play that you wanted to go for into short probably won't be fighting you too much, as they've gotten full control of the A long area, and Muterus is still lurking in the background, waiting to see if there's any pesky CT who wants to make his way through. And unfortunately, he looks away, so Flit will be the bug that comes in and gets a kill somehow or the other.
Yeah, decent damage here. The round itself, yeah, not going to happen. Kind of close on that last one, to be fair. Just almost getting taken down. Already up to 9 kills and has not yet died, by the way. But relatively clean stuff. This, of course, is what we are looking for. Arky again on the AWP. Huh? This is curious. Okay, no, he swapped across
he's
to
on the AWP. Yeah,
never mind. Yeah, my bad.
I was really confused for a second.
Yeah. I think it was that split second I've looked towards the buy and then I saw him on the AWP and I looked away. That is a great frag from Stododo. And you can see why they've given the AWP across to him. I was a bit too quick to jump to the conclusion, and Mr. Stododo reminds me why, of course, he is their primary AWPer.
That combination of a miss, Molotov, the CT choosing to take pit control to fight for long, and the fact that Stododo doesn't send a player to the blue container despite not having the best spawn ends up giving them advantage. Generally speaking, when you don't actually have the very, very best spawn on a player, you don't want to take the long pick with an AWP. Yeah. But because Stododo, who is their AWPer, isn't a player who you want to squeeze into blue container anyhow, they decide that he can go for a late peek regardless and see if he can win that out. And that ends up giving them this massive advantage where the CTs have also used a lot of their key utility to actually get that long control initially.
Great little angle here for Jerry. Or maybe not the best decision making though. Going to go aggressive. It pays off for one. And he's able to get away. Roman maybe fluffing things up ever so slightly. Great Molotov comes in, but they're not through the smoke fast enough. Kenzie is so very blind. Has he been spotted yet? No, he will be now as he drops the bomb. However, almost getting a second. Saw once again, fundamentals are sound, making sure to get the trades in, but it's Jerry through the smoke that's going to make all the difference. But no, again, very quickly dealt with. Not able to possibly spray transfer across onto the low HP just. It is kept in an even scenario time and time again. Flit tries to go for it. That might be the frag that really puts the final nail in the coffin. Awkward spray down, but it's Almeza to come out on top. All left on to Just. The flash is not sound, neither is the second. Just gets it on the timing, and Saw move up to 4.
We're seeing Just being 13-2-0, including a 4K he just got in a situation which was a 3v3. These aren't low impact kills, by the way. These are very high impact kills. And he's got a 246 ADR. Sure, it's 4 rounds, so the average is skewed. But if you want to start off to make a statement, mate, that's a hell of a pen you're holding.
Not a stat you see very often, that high of an ADR. And now the question is, how long does he keep it going? Certainly not the player that I expected to step up in such a massive way. Definitely capable, but, you know, based off of our first map and the way that people are playing right now, certainly figured it would be someone different. Not an awful lot coming here. Pretty slow round on both sides of the equation. Bit more of a mid-heavy stack for forZe. Do like that. You can rotate very, very quickly indeed across to these bomb sites. Would be nicer for them, I think, if it was B, but all the same, they can get to the A side of things relatively quickly. The flash through the smoke is ineffective. StuDodo finds that one, certainly, I think, over the top of it. You know, the kill feed a little misleading. Meanwhile, there's a boost on the other side of the smoke. They're so very blind, but still an opportunity to find a head or two if they play their cards right.
Split is waiting, and he's definitely waiting long times. Just finally goes down, his first death in the game. Could this also be Soul's first round loss? That's a big question, but with this much of a firepower disparity and StuDodo being nestled away into the pit, it becomes a lot harder. Muris, meanwhile, tagged up, is being distracted by the jumping scout, and they wanted the player to push through the smoke, but Zortis got the kill himself. Unfortunately, Roman has been left to his own devices because of it, and Roman, left on 8 HP, has found 3 kills so far and will not expose himself. Saw keep 3 players alive, so their economy is also being bolstered at the same time. Fortunately for forZe, though, it isn't untouchable yet. Yeah,
yet being the optimal word. This time around, by the way, obviously we're into this replay of a very, very nice bit of control from Roman. But a much, much earlier pause. I want to say we didn't see a single pause from forZe.
We saw one.
Yeah, maybe.
No, it was from Saw, actually. It was from
yeah,
Saw.
I think it was, right? When the lead was under threat and all that towards the tail end. I would imagine this one is from forZe, so certainly.
You know what this reminds me of, Scriv? This reminds me of that one time Karrigan had that insane BM pause, and baby, it's a Saw timeout. It's a Saw timeout. We just got told.
No.
I don't think it's BM. I think it's actually a really good time to take a timeout because you know forZe, this is their first round where they have full utility and full weaponry. And I love to see that little, hey, what do we actually do over here? But now Almazer, he's been able to catch out a player, but the flashes will keep him blind. And with the Molotov coming in onto him, he has to reposition, take a peek out sooner, be a bit more uncomfortable. But juicy Gander nade goes in, and that is a lot of damage dealt. Almazer more than content to follow up with some more pepper into his meal, as he is looking to get a feast of kills. Zorte smoked off, can't support, and Arky's got the frag and backed off, still on 1 HP, and he's killed his teammate. I mean, Arky, if you're on 1 HP, you shouldn't be the guy killing your teammate. That's all I'm saying.
That's rough, man, because they deal with Almazer so well. To be honest, smoking the corner off, not getting too overzealous, multiple Molotovs. But there is an argument to be made that perhaps a few too many resources used.
Also, Scrub, I'm so sorry I'm interrupting you. I also just realized that there wasn't an assist in there. So Arky quite literally just double headshotted Muris directly.
Yeah.
Muris didn't get tagged up by anyone.
In the chaos, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's rough. Oh. I like this angle. Obviously, Arky on 1 HP, but Just is also relatively low. So I think playing this kind of a tough one, it makes him difficult to trade, and in theory, going to mow down that first player. Oh. Yeah, that is brilliantly read. Obviously, the execution of it from StuDodo is so clean, but the fact that they send him out full HP first is so well done. However, the rotations are here very, very quickly indeed, but 2 quick headshots from the masterful firepower that remains on this Saw lineup at the moment. 2-on-1, all down to Flit. There's no kit available for him. There's one just on the site off to the right of your screen, but no one giving him anything right now. He's going to go towards tunnels. Does manage to find that frag. The attempt to the trade comes in, just not quite able to find it. Needs to buy time to go down, and there's plenty of time with this kit to get the defuse in, even to pick up an AK while he's in transition. I think they will be kicking themselves if they let that one slip.
At the same time, you also have to keep in mind that was a 3 versus 5, I believe, or maybe a 3 versus 4, where you're able to bring it back down to a 1-on-2. And sure, you should have won that, but the shots that StuDodo and Just are able to get in a position where Arky is immediately picked off because he has his knife out while he's running over, which is, again, understandable. You're on 1 HP. You want to get to a safe one-and-done position as soon as possible. But he is picked off. It's a 3-on-2, but the immediate frags coming out from StuDodo and Just are beautifully done. Now, though, a faster play towards B initially, potentially to force out rotations because their players are still actually headed to mid.
Yeah, applying a bit of pressure, I do like this, rather than just, you know, running their way towards long. But look how much chip damage, or chunk damage, I should say. Zorti up on the boost as well. Able to find the first frag. In theory, the first of many. Mutiris and just so very low. Yeah, Flit through the door, just melts Mutiris and just 20 HP. This is really not looking too good. Stododo's going for the short, but I think it's hard to tell. These A1S's in play, maybe where the opponents are coming from. It's a desperate Hail Mary play from Stododo. It doesn't work out. Elmaze's got a flank in as well. Arky's like, oh, I got long control, but they're cool. They're happy to let him have this. The one frag goes by the wayside. Should be able to trade him. They do indeed. Zorti does not miss. And forZe move up to 2 cleanly as well.
That's a fantastic wood chipper setup going on in mid, where you're just peeking in one by one from different players in different angles, and every time they're just getting a kill, and Saw's desperately trying to adjust, saying, oh, there's a guy over there. Oh shit, there's a guy now boosted up on short. What are we doing? Oh, the guy underneath the boost just came, wide swung us and killed us. Okay, it's okay. We've got to take care of short. But no, Jerry's now in mid, watching short. And when you finally smoke off Xbox and you're thinking, okay, let me breathe, clutch it out, Almazer just comes in from behind and backstabs you. That's a great setup coming through from forZe over there. But the best thing about it is it puts Saw onto an eco.
Absolutely. But creating the chaos and knowing what to do in it, right? Very, very well done. And super hard to deal with, as we see. And we'll take a look into this round. Ooh, Arky with a nice frag onto Zorti. I'm going to get the bomb down here as well. I was going to say, moving in from short is one of the easiest ways to get the bomb down. What is going on? Glocks! What is happening? It's all onto Almazer. 1-on-4 does get 2 very quick headshots under the pressure. And it's certainly not impossible here. He's left on half HP. An M4 recovered from Mutiris. And a nasty little angle. Yeah, not going to be expected at all. Not very conventional at all. And Saw have stolen, in theory, the hardest round of the game so far. A Deagle and a P250. Maybe a flash in there as well. But really not an awful lot to work with. And yet, they come away with it. Love this. The zoom cam for Mr. Arky.
And so are wanted men. This is how they were able to take away that first map too. This is how they were able to secure it with an eco win where they should never have had one. And now look at this. The shoe is on the other foot, or maybe the other foot is now barefoot. forZe don't have anything to wear. They don't have the money to buy themselves shoes. All they have is an AWP. And can't they even do anything with it?
I'm gonna have to. It is not massively desperate, right? It's not like he's spent more cash than anyone else on the team. But all the same, it is kind of putting most of your chips in. You're not going all in. Maybe like 75% of the cash that you've got. And to me, that's kind of risky to not have it into the next rifle round because, of course, unless they win this one, there will be no AWP in the next round. Or maybe if he saves, right? It's not completely out of the question, but it is certainly difficult. Ooh, nice position from Almazer, somewhat in behind enemy lines. Bit of information coming in, but then Saw not making an awful lot of noise. And well, Almazer's gone, look, guys, I've seen a couple people, I've heard a couple people. I think they're going A. Let's set up for that. Look, Stododo's at long, he's just killed me. But actually, it's B. And yes, Zorti has found a frag, but I feel like to no avail. I think you have to take what you have into the next round. Maybe Jerry and Flit look for some exits, but Kenzie's not taking any damage. Nice and cheap head armor. I was going to say free, but that's untrue. And Zorti, of course, wants to hold on to this AWP. So Saw doing a really good job. Nice little bit of the old bait and switch. The distractionary play towards long pays off, and it ends up being a much quieter, much simpler kind of round than first expected. Stododo is playing with fire here, does need to be careful. His head almost on a silver platter for Kenzie. That is such an awkward fight, but he does come away with it in the end and retains the AWP of his own. And like I said, Kenzie had armor and cheap head armor into this next round, so that's certainly something to consider. It's not the end of the world. But as the saying is, for 2020 at the very least, maybe not into 2021, but it is what it is. It's still a decent buy. It's still a decent buy. He's lacking a bit of utility, which would have been nice into this round. But it's not the end of the world. He is playing a tough spot right now. over on that B-bomb site, playing the anchor. So actually saying it's not the end of the world, I feel like the utility really would have helped him out.
I mean, that's always the case in the spot like that. You want to have a little bit of that something extra. Maybe flash yourself out. Maybe smoke yourself into a one-way. It's something to work off of. And you can see utility is something that forZe are continually going to have very little of heading into this round. And so they've set up. They're ready to take mid. The question is this going to be a wood chipper? Or is this a machine that stopped working? SdoDo starts off strong, gets himself the first, and now Jerry has to pick up the pace while Muterus looks to take that very same duel again. They move forward, they smoke it off. Jerry can't get the kill, and he's been mollied into a corner.
Almost taken down, I would say, lucky to be alive. But his steadfast hold of mid has paid off. And they've decided to back away and give the A-bomb site a bit of a go. Muterus creeping under the crosshair, or the scope, I should say, of Zorti. Certainly keep an eye on that. Could make a difference. Flash is not sound. Almeza with his textbook angle, getting a double kill, once again forcing them away. Zorti, meanwhile, does not matter. Muterus will not catch him off guard. And now a 4-on-2 ensues. SdoDo and Just, certainly the loudest players so far, but Just only good for one. SdoDo, meanwhile, is trying his best to move in towards the B-bomb site. What is kenzie going to do here? Low HP, I would say you're going to allow him the opportunity, but SdoDo's really taking his time. Needs to be careful where he chooses to plant. Under window. Or maybe if he'd have been a bit tighter, would have been more solid. Doesn't even get the bomb down in the end. Did he? No, okay, he survived. Or wait, went down during time. Yep, that's a hard one to navigate. But all the same, he's not going to lose the loss bonus, which is also really weird to say. Nonetheless, solid hold from forZe.
And that's where Saw maybe just out mind gaming themselves after they forced back the CT player, after they've gotten that mid control. Maybe you say, yeah, let's go mid. You know, something to it. But you know, just expecting perhaps forZe to rotate a little bit more quickly rather than going for what looked to be an A-sided setup to just try and save, honestly. And they lose out a bit too much. Now, they still have a bye, but you're treading dangerous waters, to say the least. You're getting into territory where if you lose, you're back on the Ecos, and although Ecos have been quite good to Saw, I don't know if it would happen again.
Nice bit of early damage once again. Just that kind of posturing, you know, the shoulders barging in, trying to just force a little bit of control on either side of the equation. Ooh. This A-hold. Need to be careful. Zorti in that ever dangerous spot towards Car. Saw, though, looking to indeed hit their way in. Distraction towards Long. But it's actually short that's the hit. Zorti's not really going to be able to get his early opportunity. And you can see some of the nerves kind of coming in. The flash comes through. Oh, and he misses the shot. Therefore, not really able to go for the repeak. Nade goes in. Decent enough damage, but the A-bomb site has fallen.
Not just that, it's fallen when you've got a double op setup on the CT side. If Jerry can't get an instant kill, I feel like you have to call for a save. The problem is Zorte is also in a position where if the T's decide to retreat back to A long and you lose one of those ops, it becomes very dangerous. Now SdoDo with the first great angle to maintain as he looks for more, sees the head, and as he flicks forward, the flash will force him not to fire, and Almazar, kenzie, and Flit are taking control back. Roman still in position, but he's been taken down. It's all just, and he can't get it done. Great retake despite the ops, and it all comes off of one singular flashbang.
The A-bomb site in a situation like that, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, or perhaps a phrase that people of today would understand a little better is kind of an Uno reverse card, right? Where taking control of it is
That's
relatively
very much
easy.
like a early millennial thing. I'm just saying, people of today are probably, I don't know, maybe that's not the game they're playing anymore.
Yeah, well, it feels a bit worse to say young people of today, doesn't it? Because then I would associate myself as an old people of today. But either way, right, the idea is that it's easy to gain control of from that short position, but then it's kind of hard to keep control of it, right? And that's what happens there. Solid, like you said, simple, but still really, really good utility coming in from the CT side of things. And that just sets them up. They're able to use the bodies and essentially play like a T side. Clean trades, quick information, bit of mechanical stuff, holding some angles you expect people to be. And they do a really, really solid job of mounting the retake. Half buy into this one. They have struggled against these on this very map. And, well, Mutiris is opening things up once again. It was Arky last time around. That's a big nade from Zorti to hold things down. Really well done. Second one coming through from Flit. I believe the P250 jumping is not going to find it the first time, but he gets the Kaylee style second time around. And he will also get the defuse and the 3K start of the show for forZe. But I think Saw will be happy with the bomb plant.
You're really happy with not just the bomb plant, but the fact that you're keeping forZe somewhat honest economically. Now, the problem is honesty only goes as far as it takes you on the scoreboard. And right now, it's not taking Saw very far. So you have to start to wonder, at what point does the economy just start to be a non-factor? Well, Saw was going to have a buy in this round regardless. Now, they do have a bit more utility on StrDodo because of it. That's always nice to have, but he needs to find some kills now. Just on 18 has definitely cooled down a lot in the later half of this half. Kenzie traded away, but Roman's taking it all the way home. Now a 4 versus 3, and as long as they can avoid one op and take the other down, this should be a great round for Saw. Zorti also doesn't have a smoke, so he can actually molly it off in that position fairly easily.
Yeah, very true. Need to follow up kind of deal. It's somewhat risky, and you can kind of see that he knows that. He's playing the less optimal back end of the car, as it were. Maybe also maneuvering in and around this smoke, but in just a second here, it's all going to start to pop off. He wants the stronger angle as that smoke goes down. StrDodo. Oh, going to change where he's looking. Zorti is hiding away. Maybe indeed using his teammates as bait. There you go. He comes up. Clean little flick onto the first, the second as well. That 30% window looking solid. Backing off from the Molotov, and he does not miss any shot. 3 for 3. Maybe has set the rest of the team up. It's all going to be onto Mutiris to recover things back for Saw.
How many times have we seen Saw get the great round off the back of this spawn, know what to do, know how to take control of the side initially, and then second guess themselves? Yeah. It's so many rounds where they just lose focus, and then over here, they're trying to be so sneaky that they're not using a Molotov early on. They're not trying to flash out that angle. They're not trying to find anything. Why? Because they're saying, oh, we don't want them to know and stack. The issue is, at the CT side, it's already so highly prioritized to stack because you want to save if they've got B control. Because frankly speaking, you're not retaking a 2 versus 5 if it's on B side.
Yeah, I think summed up very, very well. Right, that's kind of what catches them off. Again, overthinking things. I feel if they play it a little more simply, send the rifle in first alongside that Molotov, then it's an easier kind of round for them. Flashing in towards the B bomb site though. Oh, we know how this one goes. Kenzie somehow has snuck in. They've not checked him. What is going on? He's going to get 2 immediately off the bat. The information is all over for him as well. Third coming in. Oh, Saw, disaster after disaster, it feels like. That last round, not good. That round is a little unlucky, but still not good. This is really, really turning into a troublesome end to the first half.
T-Swift, this is why Pilsky insults us as play-by-plays. Not good. But it's true. That's really what it was. Good old Pilsky. But Flit, also good old him. He gets himself 1 early kill, and although Mutiris is good for the trade, he's not particularly happy with his health afterwards. Okay, StrDodo peeks out, takes down Flit, finds himself an op, but now he has to find himself an Almazer who's come in from the side, takes down the bomb. Fortunately for them, the bomb actually drops in suicide, so it's recoverable. But Zorte, he's starting to cover his teammate as he moves past, and Roman peeks out, is seen, is spotted, and Zorte now needs to get this kill on StrDodo, who will try to flick up, but he loses his chance, and Kenzie loses his duel. A 1 versus 3, and where Roman seemed to have a good idea of the pre-fire, he also has a great idea of where Almazer is, so he rushes over, wants to get a plant in, but again, that second guessing, that double thinking. And Zorte has been given enough time to peek over. Now, instead of anything else, they know exactly where he is. And Roman peeks out. Great shot as well, but it just isn't enough. So, despite a great start to the half, we'll go into the second with a bit of a disadvantage. And we'll be back after a short break to see whether they can recover.
Welcome back to half number 2 of map number 2. It indeed has been a good day for SOAR when they get off to the start, when they get off to that strong start. But where they've fallen ever so slightly, bit faster into map 2, is keeping that consistency, making sure that they are adaptable and unpredictable moving forwards. It has not been an easy road in that sense. They managed to just about clean things up on their own map pick of Nuke. And now we move, of course, into Dust 2, half number 2. And well, as you can see, forZe actually pulled it back and brought us to an 8-7 half. Once again, joined by T-Time as we move into the second half, see what forZe have got. It was T-Sides over on Nuke. Maybe they can replicate that.
Well, we'll have to see whether or not it is that tail. Because now it's all about, do forZe start to overthink? And this is where I actually don't think that's ever going to be an issue. Jerry's very decisive in-game leader. And Zorte, well, he started off a nice little quick tap onto Just. Now, responses are also being felt by Arky as now forced to continue upwards to A long. Arky trying to fight back, needs those kills, but kenSi is finding them instead. Sees the player in short, but Stododo walks through the smoke, cuts off Flit next to Car, and now it's all up to that boost, but that boost has been taken down.
Read like a book. Absolutely read like a book. Oh, and Almeza goes flying in. Jerry will steal the final one away from him, but all the same, a 3K for Almeza. Pistol's looking good, and that's where the prophecy changes. Of course, if you did join us at the start of the map, T-Time mentioned SOAR were 3-4-3 and dominant in that sense. This time, though, into number 4, it's forZe to pick things up. So certainly curious to see whether that has caused a big shift. 4 rifles.
Yeah, very little utility, so you have to start wondering, is this another one of those SOAR rounds where they managed to run away with things as Stododo misses his flashbang? So I'm guessing that's probably a no. Nade, smokes, the works, all going forward. And SOAR don't have the same response that forZe typically did. They are, a little bit more patient, waiting things out. But what a kill from Stododo. He's found a small little gap in the smoke. And this time, again, another tag. kenSi brought down low. And Muterus is in a great position to capitalize from that one flashbang that Rome wants to throw. In the meanwhile, from Car, it's Almazar, who can be taken down quickly as well. His head was spotted moving past, but Flit on the lurk is great. Stododo is better. He's just better. The great headshot, and Almazar in the meanwhile, sure, finally takes down Stododo, but you're still in such a tricky position as Roman, and Just could have maybe taken it through, but forZe do still come out on top, and it all comes down to the late round kill from Flit onto Muterus.
Yeah, no one looking towards short, unfortunately. He was just hidden away at Gandalf, hoping to capitalize on being hidden away. Everybody's towards long, but no. Very well played. forZe being patient, not getting caught off by the Deagles. It's something that we see very, very often. You lose that head early on into your push or whatever, and everybody tries to overcompensate. Suddenly there's 3 more CTs that come out of the woodwork. So really well done, in my opinion. And they will get themselves cleanly into this next round. Flash coming in. There's a lot of bodies in and around middle here of both sides. Nade over the top, gonna do some damage. Actually manages to drop one just meanwhile on the P250, finding another, finding a couple, finding a third. What has happened? All onto kenSi. He'll recover the bomb, but it should not have come to this. They dealt with the Deagles so well, and then into the free round, they perhaps get a bit overzealous with those peaks that I was talking about. It's the complete opposite, the complete antithesis of the past round. He's gonna go for it, and Muterus is set up and ready. But just, what a bloody round on that P250. Oh my god.
He can't keep doing this. You can't keep getting away with these wins. So
you get one
away.
a series, man.
Yeah, you got 2 this time. You got 1 in the first half as well. It's just yeah, not too shabby from Saw on their pistols. You thought that you can count them out once the Deagles were gone, but they come in just as strong with the inferior pistols. Hell, why am I even calling them inferior at this point? But what's going to be really interesting over here, though, is the fact that forZe are actually in a very, very poor financial situation. Normally, if you have a couple of SMGs, you know, you're saving a few extra players. In that second round, even if it's a force buy against you, you can still pull out probably like a close to full buy in the third, even if you get force, or even if you get eco. This time, because of the amount of players they lost and because they went for 5 rifles, that isn't true at all. So significantly weaker buy, and Muris is looking to exploit Zorte down in mid on that scout. Oh, they made noise. They made noise. Yeah. Muris knows. Stodora's also looking over here. This is a double peek. This is potentially even a triple peek if the CTs from B start to move over. And as they will do so, Flit now will be seen. It's a B line straight to B. And Flit, well, he's going to be taken down soon. But no, actually finds the entry. Just Stodora and Muris have gotten the kills in the meanwhile. And forZe, well, they haven't given up yet. They have the site.
Certainly not impossible. The bomb site, infamous. They're all also coming from ramp. There will be a quick reposition, quick readjustment over towards tunnels to try and give this a go. Do indeed have a kit available. Almeza got to be careful. Okay, gonna hide away, choosing to play things once again kind of safe. Perfect timing though. Oh my goodness. Clean double coming in. Zorti as well, gonna deal with Arky easily. Almeza. Hello, sir. That is incredible CSGO, you know, the look certainly on his side to catch one unawares and the other with a nade in hand, but all the same, that is a massive play to pull forZe back from the brink.
And how many rounds have we seen where Almazar has been the guy to save them time and time and time again? If you want to know the answer to that, it's actually 5. And yes, I've been keeping count. Now, though, you're in a position as forZe, which is unlike Nuke, where you actually have a lead, and you are looking to keep it going, keep it extended. This could very well be the third map incoming soon, which would also be the first time these two teams have had a 3-map series in, what, about 6 months or so. It's always a 2-0 in favor of Saw. forZe never take a map off of them, at least in the recent history that has been coming through. Now, though, this time it's an easier anti-eco. Sure, there's some damage dealt, but, you know, no kills had.
Not yet. Still a Deagle in play. Couple low HP bars. But yeah.
Okay. That wasn't a low HP bar.
Yeah. What can you do about that, man? That is a new monitor for Flit in the morning for sure. Gonna have to try and find a replacement fast, but no, Jesus. I don't know what more to add to that. That is just one of those things that you can't really break down. He's just absolutely demolished him, so he has. Does get taken down, though. No AK saved into the next round. Just a nice one for the highlight reel, I suppose. This is where it all comes down to, though. This is kind of the big breaking point right now for Saw. They would need to mount the incredible comeback that we were expecting from forZe on Nuke if they are indeed to take this series 2-0. Unless they can win this one, I think this is, you know, the floodgate kind of round. And it's a relatively good buy. It's not the best, just I do like it. Sacrificing down to the FAMAS, even though he is one of the highest fraggers on the team, to facilitate that kit. Very, very important indeed.
And what's even more important is that Stododa can actually start getting involved. This guy's not been present on the map the way we are expecting him to be on Dust 2. You know, a lot of the strength of Saw comes from him, and now it's all about Zorte. He's taken down just initially. The top fragger's gone. Kenzie lurking in the background will get another and looks for more. There's 2 players who are locked away in a 2v4. Muris knows that the only option of saving is to actually find Kenzie and kill him as well. Otherwise, the flanks will begin. Otherwise, the T's are gonna hunt. And you know what happens when T's hunt 4 versus 2? Either you get a really flashy, kind of useless highlight, or you end up losing your weapons.
Jame time.
Sure.
Maybe. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
To be fair, he's staying alive. So there you go. There is that. And keeping the economy modest, as we like to say. Certainly not spiraling out of control yet for the T side. So, although, like I said, a very key turning point, it's still kind of within reaching distance. You know, they're hanging on by a thread. Not quite, you know, feeling inevitable just yet. But it's now a much more arduous kind of battle that they have to fight, and no room for mistakes at all, I feel, at least until you bring it back to like a 13-11, 13-12 kind of scoreline. What's the plan here? We're going to boost over the smoke. Unfortunately, no one really showing. Zorti, unbeknownst to him, I don't know if that's on purpose, but very, very safe angle off to the side, so he's not going to get spotted at all.
Now goes out the smoke. Just is waiting. Just is watching. Just is killing. And he's looking for more and more blood as they start to move over to that very same B-bomb site. But bomb is not there yet. As they've lost a man, they're suddenly wondering, God, no, not this again. Not the Deagles, not the Pistols, not the Scouts. Roman, well, at least he's got some damage.
I guess it's an info gathering mission. The play on towards short doesn't really work. That flash is very, very obvious just as well. Using that information effectively. Oof, another tag does come through, but Zorse going to drop him. That's the B bomb site open. Definitely a chance.
No smokes.
Get the bomb down at the very least. Yeah, it's a risky cross here. They are ready and waiting as well, all three of them. What do? Yep. You've got to fight your way out. They know it. Jerry going through. Missed shot at the very least, but he does get taken down by Arky. Thank God for the backup there.
Oh my God. Makes up for it.
I mean, I love the action, but yeah, that shot is very, very nice indeed. It's a crazy kind of play. Not going to work out, of course.
Yeah. Again, these incredibly crucial kills that just seem to be so avoidable. You just need to smoke off at the foot of tunnels. There's these plays which are coming through from Saw, and I want to commend them from it, and I absolutely do. You're hitting that shot, it's no mean feat. But the fact of the matter is, if you want to chuck a Molotov over to that side, there's a better way to do it.
Well, in with another buy. This is a rough one for sure. It's really interesting, the dichotomy of the two CT sides. Honestly, we had, you know, just the one anchor in the form of Kensi over towards that B bomb site for forZe. Meanwhile, two players firmly planted in, and they both remain alive for a little while longer. Just unfortunately caught between a rock and a hard place. It's all onto Roman. He's good for one. There's one inside that smoke. God. He gets another somehow. How is he not taken down by the tunnel player? Flit is kicking himself and may even get a little bit of a slap on the wrist for that one, because that was kind of a freebie for him, and he throws it away. 3-on-2 on the retake.
And over here, you're starting to see that it's the same 2v3 that Saw have lost so many times over. This time, though, Almazar is dead, and that's the big man clutch machine who you're normally watching out for. Arky finds the last, and look, I have to be slightly critical of this round from Saw, despite that beautiful defense from Roman. And the reason for that is simple. Muterus is so hesitant to actually cross that mid to B smoke, to go over to B, to provide that assistance. You've got 2 kills. Look at Roman. He gets 1, repositions, beautifully done, peeks out again, takes down a second. There should never be a third player coming from window if your player is sitting inside CT spawn. That's the reason why they keep losing these 2v3s.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not like forZe are throwing the higher box smoke either.
Yeah.
So I think someone kind of needs to abuse that, get up on the little spot. I guess it's kind of difficult. You're easily tradable, I suppose. But like if you play really, really well, kind of patiently or whatever, and they're just not aware of the fact, it could be an easy double for you. Or even on the retake when the smoke is starting to dissipate, they still think they're safe from that angle, that kind of thing. Just a little thing that I think they could utilize, jumping up on that mid box.
Now,
Ooh.
I shot from. Okay.
Unlucky.
I believe the term for that is assisted suicide, but now forZe comes through. It's a 4-on-4, and look, the thing is though that suicide is actually really important, because if you're able to get down, that's a chance for a quick little headshot. The Deagles can do anything, but even so, at this situation, you don't have that much utility to get onto these sides. And as the flashbang goes out, it blinds 3 players. That's huge. That'll allow them to get the first, move on for more, and Arky's cleaning up the house. Now in a 3 versus 1, they'll find the last, keep 3 players alive, solidify their economy just a little bit, but they can't prevent forZe from getting the bomb plant.
Yeah, I think although it ends comically, the goal of that run boost, that drop in towards CT, is to distract the 2 players that are playing on that A side, on that long side, as it were, because it got overlooked, but kenzie hits a nice little 1D onto the player playing on ramp on that headshot angle, right? So, yeah, I think it does its job well, and then that therefore allows them to get the bomb down. Also, another interesting kind of tidbit, instead of smoking off middle, right, so the information is kept away and it's harder to land the tag, they both jump across at the same time, and as predicted, Sorty goes, whoa, you know, doesn't know who to go for, what's going on, it's completely catching him off guard. So that's interesting to hold on to a smoke for your mid player. It looks like Roman utilizing that on the double doors to have a slightly deeper one to keep the T's at bay.
Molotov goes outwards. Now, one thing that I have to say is very different from how Sol is playing their CT side compared to forZe is they are so spread apart. They're in triangle positions where you can somewhat support each other no matter what position they're coming from, but because of how little information forZe is giving away in towards mid and whatnot, it's very difficult. But Sodono peeks out, misses his shot that looked like it was a sitter, and now Almazer moves past into the smoke. Sodono gets a no-scope.
What? He's still alive? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. What? My eyes deceive me on that one. What the hell has that man had for breakfast? Arky, meanwhile, finding 2 towards short like it's easy, and Sodono finds 3 kills in the round.
They don't lose a single player. like Arky should have died there. Sodono should have died there. They should have gone into bomb plot. I don't know Counter-Strike.
I don't know, mate. The round peaks with him staying alive and no-scoping. That's why it's kind of like so weird to see.
Yeah.
You know, because that's the big moment, but that's the buy time. I'm eventually going to go down, guys, but I managed somehow to get a kill, and I bought time for rotations to come in. Arky's had the individual moment towards short that kind of, you know, turns things around. But don't worry, guys, I'm going to die. You know, that's one of those moments where it's like, I'm dead. And then you just never die.
Save my op, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, oh my God, there's 3 long guys. I missed an easy shot. I'm dead on this repeat, but he just never dies. Oh my God.
Disgusting. It's beautiful stuff, though. You have to say now forZe are in the position where I'd say Sol was in the first map, but this could be an equalizer. And again, how many close maps are you going to lose as forZe before your mental is destroyed? Just a reminder to you guys, if you're just tuning in, forZe lost the first one in a 16-13 where they were making a huge comeback. forZe also lost 2 maps against Fun plus Phoenix today, one of which was 16-14, the other was 25-22. So you're getting to a point as forZe where at some point someone's mental has to give. And this is where it's up to Jerry to keep his team together, to corral the troops and see if they can get past Sodono. They've got the flashes to do it. This op should be disabled for a while. The question is, can Sodono manage a miracle regardless, as he so often has? Dodges the 1 flash, nades over, that'll slow them down nicely, gives him an opportunity to back off and find some safety. Does not want to reface, and that ends up being the wise decision, but there's no one from short from the CT side, which makes this retake a little bit tricky.
This is... Oh, I don't know. I feel like they should have played a little bit more aggressive. When they're on the pistols and whatnot, it's going to be deadly. It's a nice little Molotov to open things up. Flashes, of course, coming into play, but They want to swing in. They want to take these fights, and that can make them hard to deal with. At the moment, looking relatively good. There you go. Okay, sigh of relief as just collapse on those final frags. Very nicely done indeed. But yeah, for just a second, it's kind of like, okay, there's all these pistols. They're posturing. They want to take the fights, and Saw might not be expecting that, running around corners with a few nades in hand and whatnot, right? So kind of a risky one to leave everyone alive in a round like that where you are against the pistols. But at the same time, you don't want to be that player that goes down and then kind of allows forZe to snowball things.
Especially because one of the reasons why they're able to quickly come to the retake is because they have that much information. But now the round is quick, and we've got to be quicker. They've moved past the blue container already. And with long control completely forfeited, what's the play from Saw going to be? They've got to find another area off the map, and they know it's a short. Here we come. Stododo, meanwhile, left to be the guardian of long. Can he actually guard it? As he has so many times.
Well, he's blessed by some kind of higher power, that's for sure. Certainly the sword of God or something along those lines, to be honest. It's looking really, really good in some of these rounds.
I'm just imagining like this sword of God who's just like, okay, no one buys my gun. You know what? Oh God, just move aside for a bit. Can I have like half of your weapon when it's not scoped?
You can just tell though the tension right now, you know. Nobody wants to fail their shot, miss their shot. They're all just holding angles rather than peeking into them. Smokes do come in. 35 seconds left. I mean, with those early smokes, it kind of gives the game away. 3 players ready and waiting here. Arky, a well-timed Molotov could really screw them over, actually. Yeah, I think this is going to split the team up, not allow them to plant in that optimal spot. Sorry, smoke goes in, but
double nades coming in.
I don't know, man. It's so risky.
A double nade gets so much damage, and Arky now comes in from the side, aggressing forward. He's had such a good game so far, and he'll continue to try do so, but can't find the kills as he's finally overwhelmed, and the T's are doing it. Roman alone versus 4 will contend, and now just run away, really. It's the only option he has in that situation, but it gets so close.
It does. It certainly does. But I think that harkens back to the previous round where they do it against the pistols. Maybe there's, you know, an air of safety for them there because they trump the utility of the T side. But I think, again, playing things passively and going for a 5-on-5 retake, this time forZe are probably going to have learned the lessons from that previous round and then come to employ them into that there round number 27. I think for my money, yes, it is a tense round. Yes, it is a difficult one, but maybe Stododo does indeed, as we were saying throughout, you know, needs to be the guardian of long, needs to be a bit confident. We're kind of joking about it, but he's been playing there very, very well. And at the very least, putting a body in the way would have slowed forZe down a great deal.
And not just that, the fact that Arky isn't able to maintain the form that he's had for a couple of rounds, and he just can't get the kill on the ramp, that's deadly. After that, he's revealed his position. He's come out of his safe space in Little Cubby and Gandalf. And now it's at that point where he had to commit, he had to go into Goose. That's where he loses another deal. That's where he loses out the round for his team, pretty much. Now, Roman has been tagged up pretty handily early on. Not ideal, but Arky at least makes up for the previous round by diving into the pit, runs away, gets information as well. Molly goes over to keep his team in a position where they can assist him as they are retaking some control in long. Good Molotov goes forward, but that didn't land.
Huh?
That actually
gone into the shadow realm.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened there, to be honest, with that Molotov, but it's allowed Sorty to find a frag where maybe they didn't expect him to be. It leaves Arky unavailable. Stododo also goes down. And the 4-on-2 save, I think this is a call, a play for overtime from Saw. That's rough, because I don't really think it's all their fault. Certainly could have hit their shots or whatever, but I really do think they expected that molly to be in play.
Yeah, I just think the molly lineup was just a little bit off, because it's not actually possible from maybe I'm wrong about this. I'm sure Pilsy will let me know in the chat or something if I am, but I don't think it's actually possible to throw a Molotov that lands on the ground from that position. It has to pop in the air and then spread from the air to the ground in the way that mollies do. So you have to be quite precise with how you're throwing that one.
Yeah. It's tough. It's definitely tough. But I guess they needed something a little bit risky to get
I think the setup
out
was
of there.
great, but just the Molotov doesn't land. And
yeah. And then swinging in, trying to bait out an AWP shot when it's 13-14 is a risky play, bro. I don't think you're going to be missing those kinds of shots, right? When the opportunity presents itself to take the round into your hands, you absolutely have to hit that if you're playing at this kind of level. So it's a risky jump peak type thing, to be honest. So damn close. I think a shot almost hit Zorti as well off the top.
Yeah.
Trying to take some early fights, but nothing quite landing here.
And soDoTo is now playing from mid. He has an opportunity to find something every time forZe have been contesting mid in some way or the other and finding damage, finding kills, finding something. But maybe this time they'll find an AWP bullet lodged inside their bodies. Not going in mid just yet. soDoTo also doesn't want to rescope because it'll give his position away. So he ends up backing off in the meanwhile. Now, looks to be a B-side hit, and now it's a double smoke you were talking about, but the flashbang goes over, and can they find the first kill? Just needs to take down Flit, and he will do some damage, but not get the kill. Chasing afterwards while Roman takes another down in mid, and just now has to trail off the backline of Cubby. Can't get the kill, and Almazir with 2 great entries will be able to take control. forZe are moving to 16, and Arky and soDoTo just can't do anything to stop them.
No, I don't think so. 18 HP, just walks into the meat grinder. That will be that. And unfortunately, saw on the comeback, they get a taste of their own medicine. They drop the ball at the very end. forZe will be taking us to a third map. But first, a quick break.
In the field, realized I could make it. Sacrificed all my time towards greatness. Been alone in the dark, isolated. And my dreaming isn't real, we're separated. I never know it's coming my way, yeah. Cold out of stone, stay out of my lane, yeah. Leave me alone, this is my moment. Finally found what lights up my fire. When I'm taking it home, I'm stepping it up to another level. Time moving faster than ever before. They don't really know about honesty, but they don't really grow. Honestly, I cannot be stuck constantly. Consciously is a part of me. And I'll never know it's coming my way. Yeah, cold out of stone, stay out of my lane. Yeah, leave me alone. This is my moment. Finally found what lights up my fire.
Welcome back to ESEA Premier Season 36 Europe. We're into the third map, it seems, between forZe and forZe. I didn't think it was going to make it there, and to be honest, I think Jerry would have made it easier on himself if he just let that one go. Some good T-side calls towards the end of the game to convert the game there for forZe, but T-Time, come on, how many more rounds of this guy can this guy play of CS today?
I mean, forget how many more rounds can he play. How many more rounds against pistols can he lose is my question, because there were a lot of really ridiculous ones going on in there. I mean, we talked about 1 per half. It turned out to be 3 in that series alone. And honestly, if not for the fact that forZe won their first pistol run of the series, I actually still think Saw might have been the one taking this away.
Well, to touch on that, Scriv, I mean, Saw, they got off to that great T-side start yet again, and they even won themselves one of those pistol rounds about halfway through that T-side half, resetting the CT money after forZe got going. There's the replay of it there. Surely they can start to convert some of these big T-side leads that they're getting, right? Or is it destined to just be back and forth? forZe seems to have a response every time that Saw gets ahead. How's that happening?
Yeah, I think not to make it the Jerry show, but it certainly does come down to him and adapting and making these different kind of calls. A few individual plays from time to time, as we see here from Kenzie, for example. But Saw, I think, very, very flat and transparent, and it works initially because they are so sure of it and because it's clearly catching forZe off guard. But I think the issue is, you know, the adaptability. You have to remain fresh, even within the one half of Counter-Strike. And unfortunately, not able to do that. As soon as, you know, the adaptation came back in, it seemed like the momentum shifted completely and you know, the proverbial brick wall swapped sides kind of thing. And I think it is a bit of an issue for Saw that they're not able to keep things fresh. So maybe, to answer your question, I think, yeah, we are in for another back and forth affair.
Okay, well, I mean, towards the end of that last game there, T-Time, we did see forZe, a couple of T-side rounds got a little bit sloppy there. I noticed that, you know, you mentioned they didn't smoke off the doors on B site. There was a couple of other rounds that definitely could have gone their way, but I think, you know, really tightening up the ship there, a couple of simplistic plays on the T side and just keeping things simple rather than overthinking them. Do you think that's sort of the key here for forZe, especially now that they're so many maps deep in terms of CS, so many rounds deep, and also, you know, there's extenuating circumstances heading on to Inferno?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the biggest factors that you also have to consider is that in a lot of positions where it looked like forZe had made mistakes and gotten themselves into bad positions, Saw just didn't hit their shots. You know, you saw in one of the rounds where it was a 5-on-5 retake on the A side. Arky's in a perfect position playing from Gandalf. He starts to move forward. He sees one player, misses the shots on him. He sees another player, misses the shots on him. Now he's out in the open and he's missed his shots on 2 players and it's revealed where he is. Oh no, what do I do? I'm panicking. Look left, look right, go to Goose, miss your shots over there. It's, you know, I don't want to blame Arky in particular because he's never supposed to be the guy who's always, you know, stepping up, but I'm actually really surprised that Muterus wasn't able to get more done, especially playing from mid. We saw so many times where he just was static. He just wasn't moving. He was just never in a position to intercept.
Well, you did see Arky warm up a little bit there on the CT side. A couple of players on Saw actually having a bit of a quiet one there on Dust 2, where it's safe to say they could have closed out the series. However, we will be heading to a third map. It's going to be Inferno, but before that, a quick break. We'll see you soon.
If you want to know what you're good at, and, well, also what you suck at, check out CSGOHub.com. Coming!
Yes! Nice shot, my friend.
Cheaters ruining your plays?
I have eyes on the enemy.
Bad servers stopping your shots? What you need is ESEA. Advanced anti-cheat to stop cheaters. And the best servers around, all with 128 tick rate. ESEA, the best way to play CSGO.
Thanks for listening to those bangers. We're back with ESEA Premier Season 36 Europe. It's the third map between forZe and SOAR, and it's a familiar one, T-Time. You were saying in the initial death segment there, they've only played Nuke and Inferno against each other, and third map's Inferno here. So what are we expecting from this decider?
Well, I want to say that SOAR should be able to take Inferno away, as has been the case over the past few series that they've played. But I saw a lot of hesitation from SOAR coming through in their Dust 2T side towards the end, where they would get some kills and then think, okay, what do we do now? And if there's one map where you can be susceptible to bad mid-round calling, it's definitely Inferno. So I'm suddenly questioning myself, but I think I'm going to give it a tentative win to SOAR regardless on my part.
Well, we'll see how it does end up panning out. As for you, Scriv, I mean, you seem reasonably familiar with these two teams. Obviously, they played each other a little bit on this map in particular. And even just in this series so far, I'm seeing a lot of, we just run the standard sort of map control into the side execute. That seems pretty cookie cutter in terms of how you play Inferno. Is that what you're expecting to see, or any kind of change-ups you think might throw a spanner in the works?
I think SOAR's kind of brand is very cookie cutter for sure, and then I think forZe are falling into that because of these two new players in this game, right? It's all very, very strange because earlier on they did have ESEA power, now they don't. We have talked about that a little bit, right? So not to harken on it too much, but I think it's going to certainly have an effect that, yes, we'll probably see a repeat in approach from both of these sides. One, because it's their nature, and one, because it's like the only option that they really have at the moment. But saying that, you know, Inferno is one of those maps where your leading voice certainly could make a difference. And Jerry, we have been commenting, has looked relatively good in that sense, almost mounting the comeback on T side. Kind of hard, right, to do that on Nuke. And then keeping things together and having a decent T side as well over on Dust 2. So I think that he's going to have a big impact here on the way that mid-rounding, like T-Time is talking about, ends up going.
Well, we were leaning towards SOAR earlier on, and you know, you were highlighting Stododo as being a player to watch, but so far Just has actually had a pretty big series for himself. He's been performing a little bit beyond his means. Do you think that's going to be a trend that continues? Inferno not usually an AWP's playground, or is there going to be some other players on SOAR that we need to keep an eye on here, T-Time?
I mean, as we go into the next map, I'm just going to answer you very quickly in the fadeaway shot. Pilsky, I don't think Just will be able to maintain this into the third map. I think he'll be really good, but 31 kills from him is, you know, one of the best you can ever really expect from. Now you look at Stododo, you need to see more from him, definitely, for sure, especially when you consider, Scriv, that on the other side, instead of ESEA Power, who's that CT side god, T side fraud, Zorte is much more all-rounded in that regard. Zorte is getting those kills consistently, T side, CT side. Now, admittedly, I will also say he also looks way better with a rifle. So there is that to consider.
Yeah, I think there's still a lot more to come, right? Gonna have to hold the point, though, because it is a quick rush in towards this B bomb site from forZe on this T side, starting off on this T side of things. Big nade coming in. Stododo as well, able to find one. Just will go down pretty quickly. The flash is sound, but he's not able to find another head. Muteris through the smoke. Oh my goodness, the craziness. It seems to continue. Still those low HP players. The headshots are slight overkill, but looking pretty good here for the CT side. I would say there's a kit dropped by Stododo, but all the same, moving in together. I don't even think they're going to left on to Jerry. Kit recovered. There you go. And now Jerry has it all to do. No armor and not landing his shots. No bullets left. Will get taken down by Rome. Sora back to their old tricks with the clean pistols.
And, you know, Roman gets the added benefit of keeping his armor alive. So you don't have to spend too much money going into the next one, which is quite nice. You can have a better rifle buy, which is very important because forZe is likely to go for the double AK, maybe even full Galil around it over. Oh, no, they are buying. Never mind. For a second, I thought they weren't, and I got really excited because, like, they definitely have enough money for utility plus Galils. That's how ridiculous this is.
Yeah. Could be the Krieg, you know? Could be worse.
It's true. It's true. It could be worse. It could be back to the R8 when it was released, Script. It doesn't mean that's a metric of measurement.
Yeah, okay. All right. I'm just saying, My outlook on life could always be worse.
We could be playing Valorant, that's true.
Oh, hot damn. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong, to be honest. Never really resonated with me.
Yeah.
CS is best.
That's
and
true.
forZe are looking to prove that within this matchup, they're the best at it. Now, that is a very, very pigeonholed, triangle through the circle kind of segue, but all the same, to bring it back to the game, I think we're starting to lose the plot a little bit. So, I'm feeling for forZe after such a long day. No matter how much you love playing this game, they've played so very much. Doesn't really affect them on the previous map. Maybe now the fatigue starts to get in. I will again, set that up. It might not. They are professionals, but you never know. A few missed shots here and there. We're very, very quickly into this game. I think that's kind of off the back of them, right? Bear in mind, they're a couple hours ahead of where we are currently. Either way, just finding the first. Big damage as well coming on towards Flip. I think that's going to make all the difference. Going into this post plant, another kill from the MP9 of stododo. This is not looking good at all.
And forZe aren't even going to be able to get the bomb plant down this time. They've lost everyone, and they've gotten nothing out of this round. So suddenly, you're not just looking at, oh, hey, this is a 2-0, maybe a 3-0. You're looking at a very difficult round that's going to be coming up later on because CTs keep 3 rifles aligned. They prevent the bomb plant. And now you can potentially... Honestly, you can even just have USPs on stododo and Muteris. This is a play that a lot of teams don't go for. But I think there's definitely space in the meta to experiment with just pistol buys when you know that the enemy team is going to have no armor or close to no armor, especially with the way the CT economy is just, pretty bad.
It's something that you see in pugs from time to time, interestingly enough, where like an AWPer will just stick on the USP. They know that there's nothing coming and go for those headshots. Nice little double nade. Maybe see that reappear. Certainly scrambling the eggs of forZe for sure. Not looking too good. They were hoping for some long-range deagle shots, but not going to happen. 5-on-3, straight out of the gate. I think Saw looking pretty good. And another clean headshot from Just as well. The 4-1 setup, harkening back to old Inferno. Once again, see whether that makes an appearance. I mean, if they find early nade kills and deep smokes like this, you never know. They might indeed opt to play a more heavy A kind of style. But right now, a throwaway round, not getting caught off guard by the pistols. We have seen...
Oh...
I'm really sorry. That's the caster's curse coming into play. I'm really sorry, Roman. I think it's all good, but literally... Okay, right after I said
I think you need to stop talking at this point. Genuinely,
yeah.
I'm telling you,
Take over.
Zorda just coming out with a 1 versus 3 deagle clutch at this point. 30 seconds, and there you go. I brought it back to you, script. There you go. But not insignificant, and that's the important point, which is they didn't just say, "Oh, we'll buy USPs," or we'll keep our USPs or something. They said we'll actually go full rifles because that's how worried they are that forZe might force buy again. Because that's the only real justification you can have, or you're that confident you can save all 5 players, which is again very unlikely, very, very unlikely. Even now, forZe, despite buying the Eagles in the previous round, they've still actually got a little bit of money on Kenzie. They've got just a bit of money on Jerry as well. So it's not like you were ever going to be in a position where the T side doesn't at least buy the Eagles. So important to keep in mind. Now, however, big question is, how do Saw adjust to the fact that they've given up full banana control and full apartments control, and they don't have any sight lines down mid?
For stododo, got to be careful playing with fire a little bit. They're opting not to follow those traces. Here we go, though. The burst in towards the B bomb site, looking good. Oh my goodness, Jerry making quick work of Just all onto stododo with his trusty Galil. Gonna back away from the site. Let it go to the post plant. Oh, and flit through the smoke, drops Mutiris. That is filthy. I think that might just be the round off the back of it as well. Yeah, that's kind of a... Oh, okay. Well, I guess there's not much we can do about this one. They're on another level right now.
stododo
and Flick just spins around, yeah.
Shadota dropped his Galil because he thought he'd be able to recover the fallen M4 from his teammate, where Flit was able to get an immediate kill. And then he comes out and he sees, oh no, there's a guy pushed through the smoke in front of me. He then gets taken down because he doesn't have a weapon. And his teammate, who was saying, oh no, there's a guy pushing in front of the smoke for you. Let me cover for you because you don't have a weapon. Then he dies too. So Saw, instead of being able to save 3 players, they're just dying. I think is the technical word. Oh my god, dude, that was insane. That was such a nice shot from Jerry.
Yeah, some of these rounds, man, like both teams, to be fair, have had some really nice shots. Rough buy here. They're going to go for it, but not really ideal. That's to be expected with the position that they're in. I do like the idea of keeping the pressure on. You do have to even the economy out. Not going to have enough to buy in the next round with the loss bonus. Anyway, I think they'd maybe be able to get like M4s and stuff out, but no real utility to speak of. So opting to go for it in this one. How does that change the approach? Ooh, chunky nade. Certainly not the best we've seen, but definitely a good one. Flash coming over the top as well. Yeah, there goes the top of banana. Pressure from the CT side. So, minute and 15 left. forZe have got a bit of damage, gained a bit of control, but playing very, very slow here.
Your timing of the smoke down mid, though, I have to say, this is actually facilitating an A-side stack very effectively, but the issue is always going to be for Saw, if they keep playing this the way they did in the previous round as well. This round is fine because you have pistols, you need to go for some sort of gamble, but how many times can you give up full banana, full apartments, full mid control in a round before you, in a game before you figure out that, yeah, this just doesn't work for us. Just does at least have an M4, so as the flashbang comes out, he peeks through, only good for 1, and he's revealed his position, but he makes it 2 more. Stodono gets the kills with the Molotovs, and Kenzie and Flit now all on their lonesome, and that is a beautifully executed round from Saw over there with the re-rotate back. Flit in a 1 versus 4, good for 1, but no more. There's 20 seconds, and he has to save. Scriv, that Molotov combination with the flashbang, that is beautiful. I don't know if that's planned, but if it is, ooh, that's gorgeous. Can we see a replay of that in slow motion, actually?
Hopefully, if the powers that be are listening. But yeah, it's really, really well done. Always deadly, right? You know, when there's so much utility coming in.
Burn, baby, burn.
Yeah, I think it's just they're forced to fight him.
Yep.
And they're in the molly. It just works out very well. Obviously, if he gets clapped by that first player, then it's no harm, no foul. They take a bit of fire damage. But the fact that Just stays alive, you know, it all comes together nicely. Love it when a plan together, of course. And now from the T side, Kenzie maybe jumping the gun a little bit, has only got an AK available, unless I've missed him use all his utility in the first 10 seconds of the round. I feel like Flit could have dropped him and enabled him a stronger buy. Certainly going to have an effect, to be honest. You'd say, oh, if you're missing a flash or a HE, it's not the end of the world, but having no utility at all is really not what you want. Nice little off angle from Roman to catch Flit off guard. That'll give Saw the upper hand into another important rifle round.
Roman, the poor guy's been holding that exact angle for 3 rounds now. Finally, someone actually comes his way. So fortunate for him. But yeah, important kill and just a gain on the B-bomb side. Maybe I'm counting him out too early when I said in the pregame I don't think he'll have the same 30 frag performance, because right now he's so very impactful whenever they actually make their way over to that B-bomb site. Now, though, rotate might have been called to the wrong direction. forZe have a chance to get onto this site, but there's not that much time or utility to work with.
It's a nice crossfire as well, to be honest. Really working well off of each other. Arky able to stay alive. Actually picks up a frag. Roman goes down in towards Pit, but surely the time bought. 1 versus 4. Nice little flick from Zorti. does have the bomb. Ooh, a risky cross. And unfortunately, with the bomb plant, it allows the gap to close, and he can't get his gun up fast enough. But he was screwed. There was one behind him. There was two in front of him. I don't think he makes it out of there alive, even if he had got, you know, the half-second faster plant or whatever. Regardless, into the 5th round for Saw, looking very, very good here, Tea Time. It is once again that super strong start from the Portuguese majority, of course. Arky being, I suppose, an honorary Portuguese man. Yeah. Sometimes in the UK we call them Portuguesers. I think that's kind of funny. But
I feel like you don't want to say that about a team that's already kind of old. So, yeah. But anyhow.
No beef. I was just pointing out. Yeah, no, that's not what I meant. By the way,
I know. You know, no harm, no foul. But yeah. Anyhow, forZe still coming through with a half buy. That's going to be very, very impactful at, you know, taking down some of the CT economy. I always appreciate a team that will, at the very least, stretch the CT economy to the limits. Currently, a couple of the teams in the lower end of the top 30 right now still don't quite exploit how weak CT economy can be on maps like Inferno, which are heavily utility reliant in early round utility. But now keep an eye out on the apartments, because Kenzie has been blocked off, but only temporarily. That Molotov does not go deep. Kenzie can reaggress without actually having his position revealed. Roman sees them coming in, gets the first. That's the bomb drop, still in position as Muterus is covering beautifully with a crossfire. Roman can now re-navigate back, and this is a massacre from the CT side.
Worrying stuff. I mean, we've said it before, though. I don't want to put all my chips in just yet, but Saw dominating. How many more pummeling starts can forZe take? They certainly have been through the wars this afternoon and evening. Maybe a little bit of the morning, to be fair, but nonetheless, they are seasoned veterans by this point. Still got to be hard. Ooh, Zorzi with a nice find onto Stododo. A bit too aggressive. It was some nice bounces to get there, but the angle being held, Zorzi able to clap him down, and then Arky finding Flit with the double dink. Brings it back into a 4-on-4.
Just is still alive, though, on the B-bomb side, and now he's got himself some cover from Muterus. Unfortunately, no magic flashbangs, so going through those smokes will prove to be difficult. Molotovs as well moving over, but they've been cancelled. They messed up their timing. Now, Just is trying to spray through, will be looking for a kill, but he's moving a bit too much. Otherwise, maybe it would have been more than just the one. Just gets one, and Arky from the sideline wants to be able to move through if the bomb is threatened to be planted. And as it is, Arky comes in, gets one more, and as Jerry was too quick to get into a post-plant situation, he can't assist his teammate, gets one, sure, but this fight is lost as Arky finishes off with 4.
Seems to continue, doesn't it? The mantle of who will have the strong individual round, whether it's in terms of the frags or just in terms of the macro play, you know, the overall staying alive or the solid utility. How he gets away with it from that kind of position, and how the team gets away with it after such an early opener, such a strong early opener, down banana, onto the AWPer, onto one of the strongest players, generally speaking, right? It's not necessarily been the case for this evening, but all the same, forZe, as I keep saying, will be kicking themselves. And I think certainly not to take away from Arky's performance in the round, but there's a good deal of introspection that, at the minute, the T side need to do, but maybe the team in general. It's a difficult one, again, to highlight for folks. Not made a roster move since the 23rd of October, 2018. And the past, what, 4 to 6 weeks, they have been toying with moves and many, many different players joining the squad and helping them out. Some in an official sense, some not. It's very, very hard to tell.
It's sort of like getting out of like a really long-term relationship. You just want to try new things, try new people, and sometimes you go a bit overboard. Hopefully forZe can settle down with someone though sooner rather than later. You hate to see them going down the path that they are sometimes. And right now, well, it looks like they're going down the path of the banana. And with 2 players very firmly footed onto the B-bomb side and 1 not too far away in the form of Mudris, this might be a very good boost for Just to come through with. Now, they do have 3 Molotovs, so if they're going for a full execute, that might actually not be the best position to be on. But Stododo's found 1. He's a distraction, and Just is the one to come through and close. They're cleaning up the house, they're getting kills, and sure, they lose 2 players, but by the time Flit tries to plant the bomb, there just isn't the time, and Mudris moves through the smoke to finish him off. 8th round on the board for Saw.
This is usually the turning point, isn't it, around here when forZe are able to get rounds back on the board. Of course, 10-1 on Nuke. I believe it was like 7-2 on Dust 2.
Something like that.
But all the same, not quite out of the woods just yet for forZe. They have pulled things back from worse scorelines.
Chris, by the way, guys, if you're wondering, Chris is our producer. Chris, can we know if this is a pause from Saw or forZe? I'm quite curious. Okay, so forZe are the ones who have called for this pause. I would say no surprises there, but Saw were the ones who called for a pause earlier when they were up 5-0. So I thought maybe over here they're expecting forZe to come out with something new.
Yeah.
But I would personally love to see a little bit more aggression from the CT side as well in this particular round. Obviously, forZe on the full buy, forZe with the full utility, but just a bit of a change of pace from the CTs as well goes a long way.
Does feel like they're walking on eggshells at the moment. This is one of those key turning points, generally speaking. Already the half being won in a mathematical sense from Saw.
Wow.
And they are rubbing salt in the wound. A great little boost, a great little shot. Ooh, that one maybe a bit harder to land, but all the same, certainly will counting his lucky stars to be alive right now, Kenzie. How can forZe recover things back? Great little nade goes in. That is huge damage. Actually, again, lucky to not go down to the double nade and the spray backed up by it. Yeah, really, really dancing with death at the moment on the forZe side of things. Oh. Oh, okay.
Oh.
The dink through the wood, through the concrete rather, but all the same, very, very strange kind of happenings right now on Inferno.
There are 3 people already on the B-bomb side. One thing Saul has been very good about is rotating people over nicely. Now, Mudris, he's just spraying through the smoke, hoping to find Jerry, and Jerry's hoping to find a gap. With 30 seconds left in a 2 versus 5, hope is something that is dwindling on one side of this coin. And I'll let you be the one to guess which one that is, because Stododo, well, he's about to give us the answer. But he misses a shot. Gensi gets it. Just is not checked, though. And because of it, they've got a good crossfire. And they will... They will?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know about...
What?
Oh.
Okay. Jesus. He was just like swiping people, you know what I mean? He ran out with the guy on boost. Maybe it's a comms issue, right? But he ran out with the guy on boost with his back turned. The guy, I think it was Stododo, he kills the first player.
Just, I think. Yeah.
Right. Misses all the shots on Kenzie.
Kenzie doesn't even turn.
Yeah, he just spins around after he hears, you know, this reload behind him, terminates the guy, and then starts. That was wild, honestly. But of course, for the highlight reel, you know, put it in your CV or whatever. But it's not going to have an effect on the game itself. Mutiris, nice little double spray down to open us up into round number 11. Ooh, an Arky to back him up as well.
I can't get over that round. But yeah, Flit and Kenzie now again in a 2 versus 5. I'm not counting anyone out at this point. I you know, there's still hope, guys. One way or another. One thing to keep in mind, though, is the fact that this round is, you know, having Saw keep all fighters alive is absolutely massive. And it's just me always to feel a little bit. I'm guessing the issues, right?
Yeah, ever so slightly, but we're here on
ever so slightly. All right, so we should be fine. Hopefully, we should be all be good.
Say a few prayers.
Yeah,
you know,
not to the god of the sword
why
off this time.
Yeah, I'm running the religion analogy quite hard today. It does feel like there's been a few wild interventions for sure.
It's true.
What do they call it? Deus ex machina, isn't it?
I've
the like
genuinely no
movie,
idea, but
believe
now,
it's divine intervention or something like that.
well, there you go. You learn something new every day with Scriv. That's why you call him Harvey Rogers, aka whatever that talk show host's name was. I can't even remember at this point. That's how long it's been since I've stopped. James Corden. That's how long it's been since I stopped caring about talk shows, man. Like, the pandemic's just done that to everyone. But we're back into a gun round. So have got themselves one more gun round to deal with from forZe. Now, remember, they don't actually have a very good economy, so if they lose any of these next few rounds, forZe has a chance to come back to 3, 4, maybe even 5 rounds, depending on when they get the W. So we'll have to wait to see how it goes. Important round, and they've given up all their utility, but a stack on A at the perfect time. Muterus gets the first, and Jerry's just locked out.
Pretty important that he goes down. Jerry, though, actually able to fight his way out, dodges the flashbang in towards the site. Arky playing with fire, but creates the room for Roman, at least initially, who's still alive, by the way, in towards Pit. If he gets one more from here, no way! The one tap! Oh my god, the fact that he stays alive, of course, buys that time, allows the rotations to come in, and the final frag picked up by Muteris, but certainly the hero of that round is Roman, and another situation where forZe will be so frustrated. How does he stay alive? I've dropped down. Why are you guys not swinging from short in time while I'm dropping down? His crosshairs on me. You've got to get that trade. He's up and down, you know, whack-a-mole, and a whack-a-mole that fights back, apparently. It's a really, really, really annoying scenario for sure.
Yeah, so rule of thumb, if your kid's in an arcade and they're playing whack-a-mole and the mole comes out with an AK, run away from that arcade. But now, the important point over here to keep in mind is also Saw is continually getting the correct reads. Even there, they have 4 players on the A bomb side early on, and they just know what forZe is going for. It seems like every time forZe is going towards the B bomb site, Saw is very quick to have it rotate over, to have 3 players there, to have all the appropriate utility there. This time, when they use most of their util early on, they want to stack 4 on A. And by doing so, they make it so archers can't be threatened. Short is a late peek, which allows Roman the time to actually get those 2 kills.
Yeah, it's kind of beautiful how it all works out, really, the nuance of the game. Flit with a risky jump up. Does get taken down. Such a curious one here. They're in 2 minds. Jerry seems to have spent all his money where the rest of the squad not so much. Kenzie through the fire. No one really there to back him up. Arky's able to recorrect his aim, but as you can see from behind, Roman there to pick up the pieces. Nothing too flashy there. It's just simple little bits of movement. And the wood chipper setup, as you were saying on Dust 2 for sure. Jerry the only one left. And he gets caught off guard. Just going to drop him. 12-1. It seems there is no more gas in the tank. Only just noticed. That's kind of awkward. And another frustrating thing to deal with on the forZe side. They're even killing each other and we're still losing.
I feel like, you know what, Scriv? I feel like that would be great mental warfare. Just imagine this, all right? You know, you're losing, you're trying to rally together the troops, and then all of a sudden, after you lose a round, the other team just goes and kills 4 of their own teammates, just leaves 1 guy left alive. Like, how do you bring them out? Look at this. This is Rome staring into the face of victory. This is Rome sacrificing one of his troops for the greater cause. This is Rome making the ultimate sacrifice. He had to kill Caesar. That's Rome. Why do you think it's called that?
Yep.
And Arky is the top frag, so even better. The Emperor has fallen. Boom. Shank. There you go.
Yeah. And now they must all band together to fight the true enemy forZe, I suppose.
Not quite how I remember my history, but okay.
Yeah, it depends where you learned it, of course.
Yeah. On HLTV, just like all of us. And now Jerry, moving forward with his Mac 10, chucks out the execute, and it's time for the CTs to rumble.
Interesting kind of approach here that they go in without the smoke. It's just a few flashes over the top. Stonodo is caught completely off guard. Roman as well does get traded, but all the same, 4-on-3. forZe looking good. Is this a position that they can work with? One would assume so. The bomb has yet to go down. There we go. Going to get planted. Mutiris not quite able to find it through the smoke. Kenzie does take an awful lot of damage. Arky on the backside falls. And now it is down to the two-man push from Church. A slight reposition from Mutiris, just finding another into a 2-on-2. These two remaining players are also pretty low. Definitely doable. One spot in towards Banana just is so damn low, though, in this one-on-one. Just gonna go for it. No way this works out. Kenzie surely has to find it, but his crosshair goes to the wrong angle. I don't believe it. Like, how unlucky can you get, man? I mean, forZe, to be fair, it's a great retake from Sword, don't get me wrong, but forZe have just run out of gas and they seemingly cannot win.
I have nothing to say, genuinely. There's no explanation for that round other than sucks to be you, I suppose, from forZe. I mean, look, that's obviously a bit of a joke. There were definitely things that forZe could have done better. There's definitely ways where, you know, you want to maybe argue that you can keep spraying, you can keep doing this, that. But at the end of the day, it's a 1 versus 1. It's very difficult to know, and Sodoto's got a shot, although not to the dome, so Flit is going to be keeping himself alive for a while. This might be the third op buy we've seen from Sodoto this entire half, by the way. They've been very heavily focused on having full rifles, and it's been paying off for them. But now the AWP brought through. Hey, maybe we see some of that fancy dance in action, but just has gone down in the meanwhile.
Yeah, I'm curious to know why. I think there is definitely something a bit more internally right now. Key fight for Arky to win. He does go down immediately after the fact. But I think as well, despite the fact that they've got 13 rounds, their cash is not that great. That could also come into play a little bit, that they don't want to sacrifice too much. But I think when you're so far ahead, like surely the risk of an eco and a 12-3 half instead of 13-2 or whatever, it is an interesting choice. Nonetheless, 4-on-3, I feel this would be a save round usually, but of course the final round of the first half. They are very late to rotate in. So easy pickings for forZe in terms of the spots that they choose to move towards. Still, those low HP bars dotted in, only the one Molotov. It's going to be tough, but, well, the previous round proves stranger things have indeed happened.
Well, hopefully we are coming back to some normalcy, but Mutiris and Rome would still like to have a word with me about that as they start to move forward. Very difficult to actually get onto this side because of Almazer's positioning, as he gets one and in the fadeaway can't do any more. And this is where Roman will also go down. The first half didn't quite go too well for forZe. I'm not sure what they're going to do about the second. Let's find out after a break. And we are back after a bit of a quicker first half than what we expected. Short rounds, short affairs, and short gasps of breath again and again from us as somehow or the other Saw keeps on doing the impossible, winning round after round after round. And forZe are now down 2-13. Scriv is with me on the microphone to explain how forZe is going to come back. And yes, Scriv, you are the one who's going to do that, not me.
Okay, so they need to win the pistol. Check, right? That's your first box.
Yeah.
First 3 rifle rounds, with the first 2 being clean. Don't lose to just USPs and a P250 lol. Make sure you're keeping your economy sound on the CT side, right? Not just winning with like a 1 or 2 player surviving kind of scenario. You need 3 or 4, maybe even more than that, to be honest.
Oh.
And some nice headshots as well to go alongside. Yeah, that's a very, very good start from Kenzie. That's box number 1 ticked.
And look, one thing we have to say is forZe have shown an uncanny propensity of being able to bring back impossible seeming scorelines. So maybe this is another one of those as Kenzie peeks out, but Arky intercepts. Meanwhile, Almazer keeps the numbers advantage going, but Saw might be thinking of rotating back towards that A bomb site. The prospect seems mighty juicy for now, but they will at the very least delay and forces CTs to reconsider that B side stack-ish. No one has armor, though, on the T side over here.
Yeah, so much utility, right? It kind of makes it deadly. You got to be careful through the smoke that you don't just get melted from something like this. Almaze is so damn close there, not quite able to get it. Jerry with a quick boost does find one. Stododo up close on the Glock as well, destroyed as Flit just walks all over them. He wants to defuse. But no, Almaze are, of course, on the kit. That away. So there you go. Box number 2 ticked. All right. There's a lot more work to do, but still, it's the first step of many in the minds of forZe.
Indeed. Now, the one place which is a slight issue is the fact that you still do let Saw get the bomb plant down, despite them having 3 plays, not having any Kevlar, etc. Can see that first shot in the reposition to go for the second in itself is beautiful, which allows Elmazer to get it. But now Stododo, who gets very aggressive early on, is forced to smoke himself off, peek out, see what he can find, and when he finds nothing, he will back off. Unfortunately, he's also lost most of his HP, and Muters has, he's been granted his turn on the AK.
Yeah, thank you very much. So he says, this is a worrying kind of round, isn't it? That pressure that we always talk about. Going to be on here, Zorti with his first sortie. Wow. There you go. Nice little find from him, but Kenzie messing it up ever so slightly with an over-aggressive swing. A lot of damage done here, but the 4-on-4, it's hard to call. MP9 does even more damage. Not looking too good here. More MP9 action on either side of the equation. That's the bomb, though, dropped in such an awkward spot.
They're able to recover it, and now the B-bomb side is completely empty, but Zorte and Flit have M4s, and what a shot from Zorte. Beautifully done. Intercepts Dodo there, and as Just will wait, he's got a Galil, sure, but that's not doing much against the M4, which will be wide-swinging him. Arky, just an MP9 to work with, and Flit is on full HP, armor, and kit. So now he's switched back to the Deagle to see what he can find instead. It's a bold play to go for, but if he can start to push through, if he can get 1, he can get 2! Arky, what a save on the round over there. Beautiful stuff from the man himself. What a game he's had so far, and he just follows up. Ooh, 1, ooh, 2.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. The like skin sacrifice at the start of the game or whatever to the shrine of Gabe really making a difference. Like, it again is so well played. Don't get me wrong, but these crazy, insane rounds that Saw are sometimes getting away with, sometimes pulling off by their own volition, right? I think there is a bit of a difference. It's just insane. And forZe again will be so down in the dumps after a round like that. Very, very rough, very awkward to deal with. And honestly, I thought after the kill onto Just, it was a nice idea from him and everything. I was thinking, right? Doesn't pull it off at all. I thought that was it. No, not the case. Every round, you can clearly see from the scoreline, so looking very, very good.
Four players stacked on the A-bomb side from forZe. And 50 seconds with the Deagles, that's always... it's just one of those gambles that you go for now. Hopefully, Elmazer can find a couple of kills is what is in forZe's head. But as they're peeking outwards, Elmazer just isn't good for it. That's twice in a row now that we've seen a player from forZe not being able to deliver from that particular angle. But now, maybe the 5-7 can make up for it. Good initial shot, but... can't get the kill, and guess what? The bomb's an A.
The old classic. I go A, you go B. But, of course, backed up by most of the team. It's a well-sold fake, to be honest.
I go A, you go B is sort of like sums up Counter-Strike now.
I mean, you know, it's like the matchmaking one, isn't it? You know what I mean? Where it's like an eco round. You know,
yeah, of course.
See it from time to time. But I think they're just in their heads, bro. Like it's that kind of round, of course, where you are going to play things a little looser, a little more proactively to try and get ahead of the curve, so to speak. But Saw recognized that, and they're not really letting up with the mind games. Flit going to go down to the bomb. Not the end of the world, but it would have been nice to take his Deagle into the next round. I think it might be all but over. Maybe they can hold on for a few more rounds. But if we're being real, folks, 12 in a row for any caliber of team is nuts.
It's probably not happening. But, hey, you know, maybe there's hope. Maybe. We're going to see a barrage of utility chucked over towards the B-bomb site early on. Fortunately for forZe, they have not chosen to get aggressive over there. Instead, they're taking duels in second mid, and they're losing duels in second mid. Lose out the first player. Almazr is the one to pick up one, but can't follow up because of the lack of bullets. And just with the help of a Molotov, which he didn't really need too much, will get another. I think this... I think you're right, Scriv. I think this might be close to... And this clock might have wound itself up a bit too much.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to watch. After such an exciting series... And look, there's been some exciting rounds in isolation. That would have been it. That would have been it if he'd have landed one there, you know, suddenly with the Deagle shot on the other side of the map. But all the same... It's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Of a CS fan kind of perspective. Maybe if you're a fan of Saw, you know, you're over the moon right now. But yeah, it is somewhat of a shame, and that kind of Saw dominance in this matchup seems to continue.
Well, it's a 1v3 right now. Maybe Zorte can pull this one out, and indeed, unless he can go forward, find the head, gets one. This could be more, but Muterus will take everything away from him, and that'll be it. Saw are able to come through 2-1, even Dust2 looking like they had a chance, but forZe, despite the fight they put up, despite everything they can do, they just can't get that third. And now I believe we're about to be joined by pilski yet again.
Hi, T-Time. Wow, Saw made forZe look Saw there. I mean, down under we don't pronounce our R's, so they both sound like the same thing, but that was a very one-sided game of Inferno. I was ready for an epic conclusion to that series, but unfortunately I didn't get one there, Scroof.
No, for me, it kind of, I wanted to save it, but I think they were trying to, you know, jumpstart the car, so to speak. That's sort of how it felt the whole way through. We talk about how much Counter-Strike they've played today.
Yep.
It really comes to a head there. They run out of gas. And I think it was just too much for them to handle in the end. And some of those very, very tough rounds that just, you know, it's so hard to bounce back from. Third map after close showing, you know, it really was an unenviable kind of position that they were playing from.
Well, just revving and revving, and eventually the engine sort of sputtered and died there. T-Time, you know, we were highlighting some of the players on Saw, mostly talking about Stododo, mostly talking about the AWPers in the matchup, but the AWPs not really ending up being that relevant. A lot of it was the core rifling of forZe when they were having success, or the riflers really multi-fragging up a Storm, the boomer squad, as it were, over there on Saw. Is that a usual occurrence? Are they a team that usually gets hard carried by the AWP, or was this sort of a normal day at the office for the lads?
Well, look, I think the lack of an AWP was actually really heavily felt in the first two maps where forZe was allowed a way back into it. But third map, man, Arky doesn't have those kind of performances that often. But when he does, you can see why it looks so easy for Saw. The other thing to also consider, though, Pilski, is the fact that Almazr had a banging first two maps. Some really, really good rounds, some really good clutches. And in the third map, he just wasn't really there. And I think that goes to show you where the comms are in this team right now, because it did look like forZe just were never able to get Saw's number.
Yeah, I think Flit as well had a really, really good game of Nuke in particular. A lot of multi-frags from the man, and I was thinking to myself, like, watching forZe go through the motions, at least on the first two maps, like, this is a solid core of quality players that you chuck whoever in there, you know, they could probably get a win out there. But Inferno was a completely different story. Now, we talked about Inferno being a different story in terms of, like, it being a map that Saw always wins there, Scriv. So are you feeling a little bit more justified in how you predicted this series was going to go? Or do you still feel like if forZe were a little bit fresher, that could have been a lot more competitive?
I think there's some unpredictability to the forZe lineup right now that certainly had an effect on Saw. And we did say as well, it looked very transparent on those first couple of maps, things looking really, really good in the early rounds, not quite able to bounce back. But yeah, I definitely, coming into this final map, did kind of expect, as we've mentioned, as we've talked about, in this rivalry, I guess, between these two teams, it's generally Saw that comes out on top of the Inferno. And Dust 2, kind of a different beast as well. When we talk about the overarching picture of who's in the lead, who's in control, Dust 2 is a map that you can play a little looser with a little less preparation. And I feel that, Saw were maybe underestimating their opponents' forZe after that first map, and then moving into Inferno, where it does take a bit more of, a hive mind to operate, and you need to all be on the same kind of page. Unfortunately, forZe are not really there. The extenuating circumstances of fatigue, but then also just the general fact that the team has not really had a lot of time to practice. It's a complicated map.
Does that win fill you with a lot of confidence about Saw this season, T-Time? Obviously, they've been playing a lot of these sort of Tier 2 EU tournaments. They're playing ESEA Premier a couple of seasons now. I mean, I feel like you guys, as we went into podcast mode earlier, are confident they're going to be a top 4 contender, but can they actually try and qualify for Pro League this time, do you think?
Well, I've always thought that no matter what Tier 2 European tournaments always in, they're always a dark horse to win. And, Premier this season is no different. They're definitely a dark horse to win, though, because for me, again, I'm not seeing who's going to be that consistent carry. Because for me to win, for a team to win Premier, you need 1, preferably 2 consistent carries, and then you need 1 to 2 people stepping up in playoffs. Now, I can see who might step up from this series. I've seen Just do it. I've seen Archie do it. I've seen the potential there. But my consistent carries in Muris and Stododo weren't all that consistent this time around. So I am a little bit worried for them in that regards. But one thing I'll say is I haven't seen this dimension of skill that was available to Just and Archie before too often. So I'm actually quite excited about that particular point at the very least.
Well, in my mind, I feel like ESEA Premier is a big thing for like talent scouting, for finding new players and things like that. So not too bad of a sort of stomping ground to test some of these CIS players there, Scriv. What do you think of the 2 players they're playing with at the moment? Obviously, this series is a bit of a rough circumstances, but you guys have said you've seen them play a little bit in some of the other tournaments. Are these sort of good pickups that you'd be happy to see forZe go through with, or are there some other names on the tip of your tongue you'd like to see join their ranks?
I think Zorti looked pretty good for me. Relatively, consistent, not massively flashy, but some nice rounds. And a good performance, I would say, on Dust 2, right? But definitely carrying his weight, not looking too bad on the orb. In terms of other names, I think they've literally just missed the boat on Dexter. Maybe if they'd have moved a bit faster.
Yeah, he went to Mouse Sports, right?
Been... Spirit.
I know.
Yeah.
Dexter joke.
I was gonna say.
Dexter joke.
Hilarious.
Right. Of course. Okay.
You've got to remember, Pilski is single-mindedly Australian. That's what Pilski is. So if he ever makes a joke, it's gonna be about an Australian player.
Just classic
Indeed.
Aussie jokes. Down under humor. You know how it is. Tea time. I'm sure you're very, very familiar. Either way, I believe we're waiting for an interview at the moment, having some issues connecting to said interviews. So maybe we could bring up some of those groovy graphics and find some new talking points for it. Because I feel like we've talked out this series. That last map of Inferno was a bit one-sided, so not a whole lot to sort of touch on there. So let's take a look at some of these other matches here. We did have a few of the results coming through, a few games still in contention at the moment. Game of Legion of Fate still going on. Any big surprises there, guys? I mean, we don't see scorelines. Maybe you guys are keeping a close eye on some of those games in terms of, looking at the actual scorelines there. But for you, Scriv, What do you feel like? CIS dominance outside of forZe today surprising for you or not really?
Not really, to be honest. It maybe would have been nice for Whistler to pick up a map, but other than that, it's kind of what I expected. Singularity are this later edition, right? What with Secret tapping out and everything and not being able to form a team, I guess. So they're maybe still trying to find their feet and whatnot. But yeah, Whistler definitely would have to go back and look at the veto and maybe how things went down, how close it was, that kind of thing. But just off the general scoreline, I would have liked to see them pick up another map, because for me, they're kind of a possible 4th place contender for that playoff spot, and Winstrike kind of taking them down a few pegs early on.
Yeah, I mean, they do have some strong players over there on Winstrike. I've been informed Gamer Legion currently leading 14-10 over Fate.
Yeah.
Surprising or not surprising, Tea Time?
I'm actually surprised that they lost their own map pick. Gamer Legion ended up losing out Mirage, and then Fate narrowly lost out the next one, which was Dust 2, and they picked themselves. Gamer Legion is not a team that I actually rate very highly on Dust 2, so I'm very surprised that they didn't just get 2-0'd there based off of the fact that they lost Mirage as well. Particularly when you consider they got 2 CT rounds on Mirage only. They were up 10-5, so, not too great. But now, obviously, second screen comes up. Sorry for interrupting you, Pilsky, but I suppose these things happen. I can't believe Alternate Attacks lost here.
To Anonymous? Oh, come on, mate. Snacks #1. I hope that's Snacks' team. I'm pretty sure it's Snacks' team.
I'm just checking that right now.
I'm pretty sure that's like the new Polish powerhouse. I think they sort of pinched a couple players from XCOM AGO, who I thought did pretty well last season in Pro League there. I think Fiku's still over on XCOM though, so still yet to build the Polish Voltron of vodka and potatoes and various other things. I'm Polish, but I'm probably the least Polish person ever. I know very little about it. Scriv, hopefully you can help me out somehow. What do you think about this new Anonymo team?
Yeah, I think they're looking pretty good, to be honest. Pretty impressed with Kai and Kylar from what I saw during the summertime. They were having some really, really solid results. Again, within that sort of tier 2 realm, but when there was so much CS going on, they really did stand out. Kai as well here, having a +32. Big man Snacks having a +32 as well. So there you are, it gets in. But the pickup of Innocent is another one that I think he will fill a good number of issues within some of the Polish players, right? For sure. So I am kind of impressed. The one question that always stood out to me looking at this lineup was who was going to be AWPing, right? And I think Snacks is on it, but it's still a bit of a weird one to me to see him do that, I guess. Different phase of his career.
Yeah, I mean, Snacks...
Yeah, well, I mean...
Sorry, go on.
Thank you, Spolsky. I mean, Anonymo does definitely have the advantage of having K, who's absolutely fantastic. But, dude, Alternate Attacks has Crystal in it. For me, I don't know some of the new players that they've gotten. I've seen them playing in the lower tiers of the German scene. But I thought that if Crystal is going to a team like Alternate Attacks, he's probably doing it because he thinks that there's some, star power potential there. Because I'll be honest, Alternate Attacks lost Merbit, who is easily the best player in Germany outside of Big, for my money. Maybe even better than Falvin and Sprout. They lost Merbit to Nordvin. And I'm thinking, okay, but they got Crystal. They'll obviously have some star power. I'm actually really disappointed at what a poor showing they had. They didn't even get to 10 rounds a single time versus Anonymo. That's just crazy.
I wouldn't mind seeing some MHL AWPing or something like that on some of these Polish teams. Either way, let's see how all the Polish teams are tracking and all the German teams and all the teams in Europe here in ESEA Premier. We got the 2 groups here. Anonymo currently #1 in Group A, although they've played 2 more matches than Sprout at the moment. XCOM, the other Poles, doing pretty well for themselves. Over there in Group B, it's the CIS Fun Fiesta over there. Seems to be going pretty well for most of those teams, but Saw up there as well, and I'd expect to see Gamer Legion go up 1-0 there. So interesting stuff. Are we happy with how this is going so far? There's Scriv. Any kind of outliers that you're seeing sneak up a little bit further up or go a bit further down than you might expect?
Anonymo off to an explosive start for sure. Again, for me, it would depend on their matchups, but still looking pretty good, right? Sprout nice and clean. We've not had them play today, but all the same, looking kind of good over there. Namiga going one down. Again, it's a rough kind of matchup that they had last week, right? That was incredibly unpredictable, like I said at the top of the show. But back into the regular things, the alternate attacks as well sticks out for me. I think, to be honest, they are, or should be, one of the teams that is contending for that playoff spot. Meanwhile, over on the other side of things, generally how I'd expect it to go, if I'm being honest, with the way that these teams are here. It's obviously very, very early days, because I think in this Group B, there is a bit more of a discrepancy between who I would put in the top 4 and then maybe a couple of teams that could contend for the 4th spot, but not really like the top spot. And then there's a whole mesh of teams towards the bottom end that are contending to just stay up, right? But when they come up against a Saw or a forZe or a Winstrike, I don't really see them winning most of the time. So there's a bit more of a gap there between the top and the bottom teams.
Well, a couple of upsets could make all the difference, especially when you have, those two sort of packs that are closely contested. Whoever sneaks into that sort of top end of the pack or the bottom end of the pack sometimes, maybe loses a game they shouldn't, might make all the difference. That is going to be our game done and dusted, though. For Europe, it was Saw who is victorious 2-1, off to a decent start in their group, winning a potentially important game in terms of sneaking into the top 4 or just guaranteeing that top 4. If you want to know what the next match is going to be coming up, or in general, a lot of information about ESEA Premier and a whole lot of information about how these teams actually go through and go to Pro League, just type in esl.gg/ESEA Premier. That is a whole lot of info there, a very, very information-rich website, and always has up-to-date info about what the next match is going to be coming up, which will actually be your NA match for today. So I believe that's going to be Imperium versus RGB. I'm really looking forward to that match. What do you guys think about that one? Are you guys keeping up on the NA side of things there, Tea Time?
Absolutely not. Literally, I have no idea how those things are. You're really putting on the spot here. The thing is, I know the players, but I don't remember their team names. So I'm just going to quickly check that right now. Oh, so okay, the Imperium is the Valence stack. Imperium's actually looking all right, but RGB is, if I remember correctly, they're in top 2 right now, aren't they? Is RGB Rebirth?
I'm not sure. I'd have to. You know what? You can check the standings pretty soon there, Tea Time. And by pretty soon, I mean in a couple of hours if you're still sticking around. Although I'm pretty sure it's pretty early for there. You're probably going to close your eyes and just find out what the results are tomorrow. Either way, we will be back.
What are you talking about? No, I'm going to stay awake and watch it because it's going to be such amazing Counter-Strike.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it as well. I'm just as enthusiastic as you are. And I'm sure some of you guys will be sticking around and be back with me later for the NA games. Either way, that's going to be the end of the show for ESEA Premier.